Watch as our brave heroes return home to the arms of their loved ones in this touching military homecoming video. Daniel came home after his third tour to surprise his daughter at school, and her reaction was everything. Carla was finally home after 11 months of deployment to see her family, and it was a beautiful moment. After being gone for 8 months, this guy decided to keep his coming home a secret from the family, and this was the moment he surprised them. It was so sweet as Vickers was home from her deployment in Africa to surprise her family who hadn't seen her in months.
Oh, God damn you! I'm glad you were shit, you know that? It might be my last one, I gotta make it good.
Oh, man. I was surprised to surprise you.
I know, he was telling me that.
An army mom was surprised by her son who was home from deployment, and she dropped her phone when she saw him. This little girl waited patiently to hug her military dad who was back. A dad was reunited with his kids again after coming home from deployment, and it filled his heart with overwhelming joy. This boy had the cutest reaction to seeing his military dad all of a sudden after 8 months of being apart. This boy was in shock as he was in his dad's arms again after a long time apart due to deployment. After a long 9 months, these kids finally got to have their dad back home, and they were so excited. It was so cute as a dad and his daughter was reunited after he was home from deployment. After being home on deployment, this guy was home and surprised his kids who were utterly shocked when their hero was home. This guy was back in his hometown after his first deployment overseas and was reunited with his family at the airport in this amazing moment. Sean was reunited with his baby girl after being deployed to Afghanistan for a year, and it couldn't be sweeter. Christiana's son was home from his deployment to surprise her after a long time apart, and it was so cute. After 336 days, this mom got the best birthday ever when her son was home to surprise her, and it quickly got emotional.
Oh my god!
Kirk surprised his mom when he was home from being deployed overseas, and her reaction was so lovely.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
Andrew came home from deployment early and put a letter on the kitchen counter for his mom to read, and then he surprised her. A family was so shocked when their soldier was home for Christmas originally, after saying he couldn't make it home.
What are you doing here? I told you guys were up to something.
Katie held onto her son so tight when he returned home from the Air Force. Vicky was home to her boys after not having seen them for 6 months due to being on deployment. After getting home from deployment early, this guy pulled off the perfect surprise for his mom, who was very shocked to see him. A family was full again when Dad was finally back from deployment, and it was such a sweet moment. A dog mom was home from her deployment after over 213 days, and the little doggos had the best reaction. It quickly got emotional when this military mom was home to her baby after a long deployment overseas. A military girl was finally home from the military and surprised her family with this lovely moment. This guy reunited with his family after graduating from basic training in the US Army, and it was even more special as it was the birthday of his late father. Daddy was deployed for nearly a year, and this was the moment he was home to surprise his 2-year-old son. Daddy was home and saw his new puppy for the first time, and that little doggo was so excited.
Oh my goodness!
Oh.
Yes, you.
Wait. She looked at it. Look at her!
He loves her.
Woo!
That's what she's been going with her fingers.
You don't put the weight on, girl.
Where? See?
Mama been feeding you too good.
Look, we're even feeding her right there. See?
Stephanie could finally breathe again as her son was home from his 7 months of deployment.
It's okay. Oh my God.
It was a lovely first hug as a father and son had their reunion at the airport. On his 11th birthday, this kid got the best gift he could have imagined when his dad was home from his year-long deployment. These girls got an amazing surprise on Father's Day when their dad was home to be there with them.
Gramps, look who's here! Oh.
A dad came back home early from deployment to surprise his baby girl, who had a wonderful reaction. It was such a precious moment as Dad was home from his 9-month deployment to surprise his girls at school. Dad returned home from his 6-month deployment to see his daughter again, and she was so excited. After a long 8 months, the love of Caitlin's life was finally home, and it's so sweet. After a very long wait, Daddy was home from the military, and it was so amazing. This guy was back after an 8-month-long deployment to surprise his mom at work, and her reaction was the best. This cutie could finally welcome home her dad after he had spent many months away in the military. This lady welcomed home her military husband after a long deployment overseas, and it was so cute. After a year-long deployment, Danny's husband was back home in her arms. Caroline felt so much happiness and relief as she saw her husband again after he had been deployed overseas for the past 6 months. After 7 long months, Dad was home from the Air Force, and his daughter was so excited to have him home. After being apart due to him being in the military, Angelina could finally hug her dad again. After his 10 months of deployment, a military guy traveled to surprise his mom at work, and it was the best. It was beautiful as a dad was home from his long deployment, making their little family full again. After leaving for basic training when his wife was 37 weeks pregnant, this guy finally got to meet the little one for the first time at his graduation. If you have enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this one as well.